The topic is very, very interesting, by the way. This topic says, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Lessons on perseverance and resilience. So without further delay, let's invite our session moderator. He has been named as one of the most influential business leaders of Asia by the Economic Times and India's Disruptor of the Year by CNBC Asia in recent years. Turnaround Turk is the moniker bestowed on him by the media, as evidenced by his ability to steer organizations and people towards success through innovative strategies. A doyen of the IT BPM industry and a global thought leader, he has held various influential roles, including that of a NASSCOM chairman in FY 2020. He is the architect of innovative business models, including the end-to-end vertical approach. As an industry evangelist, he collaborates with governments and industry bodies to design policies that today position the Indian IT BPM industry as a global hub for talent and technology. In 2019, his achievements were recognized at the Stevie International Business Awards, where he won the Gold Stevie for Executive of the Year. So with so much of credits, please welcome Mr. Keshav R Murugesh, Group CEO, WNS Global Services. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Pooja. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the absolute honor of being virtually up, close, and in conversation with the Olympic champion and entrepreneur, Abhinav Bhindra. His victory at the 2008 Beijing Olympics broke a long-standing sporting barrier for India, an individual Olympic gold. He is also the first Indian to win a world championship gold in air rifle shooting, and in a 22-year sporting career, he has won more than 150 medals and has been conferred with the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award by the Government of India. What is amazing about him is his spirit of giving back to the community. He does not want to be known just as an Olympic gold medalist, which frankly for most of us is actually very special. But he wishes to leave a legacy of creating more champions. And thus he has evolved as an entrepreneur with a very solid purpose. He is the CEO of Abhinav Futuristic Private Limited, which is aimed at bringing science and technology into the sport and healthcare sectors. The non-profit Abhinav Bhindra Foundation provides athletes access to the latest sports technology as well as high-performance physical training for free. Well, welcome, Abhinav, to this fireside chat. We have a large virtual and a global audience who are delighted and are looking forward to hearing your perspectives. So let you do the talking now. First and foremost, Abhinav, I must say, our Q&A session is really designed to be interactive, where the pace will keep accelerating with each question, and finally culminating in a rapid fire kind of a grand finale. With your unerring kind of aim, I'm sure we're going to have a very, very interesting session. So let me start with the first one. Timing to pull the trigger at the right moment, maintaining the balance to stand still, and staying calm as you aim and release that shot. These are very important aspects in your sport. How did you inculcate these with such precision and discipline?
Well, firstly, thank you very much for that very kind and warm welcome and introduction. Of course, mine was a very long career in sport. It was a journey of more than 20 years involved in sport. And quite frankly, to be very candid and honest with you, I never was a calm person. I never achieved calm, or I never achieved full balance or complete balance. But what I did have was the ability to remain persistent, I was not naturally gifted as an athlete. I was did not have coordination or natural balance or athleticism or even competitiveness. But I did have one talent, which was to work hard. And I do believe just the ability to work hard is a talent. And that is what I pretty much did for a period of 22 years, day in and day out, tried to get better than what I was yesterday. And it was a journey which was fueled more by the process than the outcome. It was a journey of not attaining self-belief, because I never attained self-belief, but it was a journey of trying to attain self-respect. And that culminated in me achieving what you said. It was also a journey of having a high degree of self-awareness, to be very honest. When I started as a 12 or 13-year-old boy, my motivation to get into sport was something else. It was driven by, I saw it as an outlet to become famous, for example. Soon after a few failures, I realized pretty early on in my career that this fame business was not a sustainable one. So I had to find new drive and a new purpose and a new motivation. As a human being, my mind kept evolving. I went to 5 Olympic Games, but I have to say that each Olympic Games, I was a different person. I had changed mentally. I had changed physically. My technique was different at each of these Olympic Games. My tactics were completely different. That balance, or that some degree of that balance and that some degree of calm was achieved by remaining self-aware to the changing environment around me, but more importantly, to the changing human being in me. So that was the journey, which was, I have to say, very, very interesting, very, very fulfilling, because it was a journey to attaining self-respect.
Very inspiring. And looking at you, one finds it difficult to accept that you've been to 5 Olympic kind of events. You look so young. Well, winning the Olympic gold was an all-consuming, goal for you. In fact, you have said that it was the only goal that you had. When you achieved that goal in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, did you actually feel a void? What did you do to bring another purposeful goal into your life? And I ask this question as I really think it would help us business professionals as we cross our milestones of achievements.
I think, we often talk about failure in life and failure in business or failure in whatever we do, but we sometimes don't realize that success can also bring a crisis. And to me, very ironically, my life's biggest success was my life's biggest crisis as well. For 15 or 16 years, up until that particular day, I went to bed with one dream. That was to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games. And I woke up every morning trying to make that dream a reality. And one fine day, this dream was achieved. This nice looking gold medal was lying in my pocket. I was all dressed with nowhere to go. I was left goalless, which created a great void, a great amount of confusion. How did I overcome it? Of course, time was a very big healer. And I also believe that energy management is something which one has to look at. And I think it's very relevant to all your listeners in today. We're all chasing success, chasing goals, and we sometimes dehumanize ourselves in the process. We're not robots. And I think it's when you achieve success or after a while, you have to learn how to reboot, really trying to remain again self-aware of your energy. And when you're low on energy, like I was post the Olympics, because it took out a lot out of me emotionally and physically and mentally, my energy was depleted, and it took time. It took a while for me to get that energy back, which then helped me start to think clearly again to what I wanted in life again. How I achieved this was also an interesting story. I decided to go on a Vipassana meditation course. I went on this meditation course with a goal that I want to find my new calling in life. At that time, a big part of me wanted to quit the sport. You know, I'd achieved my goal and I wanted to move on to something else. So I go on to this Vipassana course where I'm supposed to meditate for about 12 hours a day in silence. And I go to this Vipassana course and I only thought back to my sport. I only thought back to shooting and how I could get better, which taught me something. It taught me that I loved what I did. I loved the process of it. I was passionate about it. It was what I loved and what I loved doing, and spending hours and hours perfecting my craft when nobody was watching, when there was nothing on the line, putting those hours in. That's what brought me real joy. And that self-realization really energized me to go on, to find that motivation, to climb down that mountain which I was sitting on. You know, when you achieve great success, sometimes you want to climb the next peak by just jumping to the next peak. But honestly, if you try and do that, the 90% of 99%, you'll probably fall down. So you have to climb down the peak and try and climb it up again. And that requires energy, which you have to be careful of, and it requires that love for the process, which I realized that after that Vipassana that I had. And that's what basically brought me back for more. I started training again. I won a lot of competitions. I won the Asian Championships. I won medals at the Asian Games. I won the Commonwealth Games. I came close to winning a second medal at the Olympics as well. It didn't happen, but it was a journey which was supremely fulfilling, and led me to leave my sport with one thing which every athlete desires. Every athlete desires to retire with an absence of regret, and that is what I was able to achieve.
Abhinav, spoken like a true, champion. You used words like refresh, get re-inspired again. And very interestingly, you spoke about Vipassana. And just the other day, when Harari was talking to some of us, when we asked him who his guru was, he actually said S.M. Goenka. And he said, that is the person he wants to, spend his 2 months. I mean, he wanted to earlier, his 2 months with every year. And he still, he's hoping to come back to India to attend a Vipassana session. So clearly, that's what champions, are made of. That's wonderful. The competition is common to both sport as well as business. And as a person who has traveled both these arenas, what are the common features of competition you find and the difference?
Well, firstly, I think, as nations, as individuals, we're all trying to achieve economic success. And I do believe, very interestingly, that the greatest economies of the world also happen to be great sporting superpowers. And I have this belief that they've become great economies of the world because sport has had a meaningful role to play in the development of that nation, in the development of its citizens. Because the values of sport are very, very unique. Sport teaches you a lot about winning, but more importantly, sport teaches you how to lose. Sport teaches you persistence. Sport teaches you the ability to work hard with honesty and integrity. Sport teaches you about setting goals and trying to achieve those goals. Sport teaches you to become competitive, as you said, like you require that competitiveness in business. But sport also teaches you to be competitive with the values of chasing that excellence with friendship and respect, which I think is also very important in life and in business as well. Sport teaches you a lot about relationships, about building relationships. Now that I have exited my investment of sorts from my sporting career, I can look back at it much more dispassionately. And I look back at it not at the few medals that hang on my wall, but I look back at it at the relationships that I was able to build, the relationships I was able to build with my mom and with my dad, and the relationships I was able to build with my coaches and my support team, the relationships I was even able to forge with my competitors. And that remains extremely valuable to me. And that I think is very, very similar when you're chasing businesses. At the end of the day, you want to be successful, but it is all about building good relationships. I think that is something which needs to be valued. Sport taught me one very important lesson about dealing with conflict, about dealing with my internal conflict, but also dealing with conflict with others. And I think in life and in business, you often face those situations. One of my relationships, which which is an interesting relationship I've had with one of my coaches, who probably is the only person in my life I always hated. And I hated him because he always had a contrarian view. He always told me things I did not want to listen. And he always brought me out of my comfort zone. But I always, early on, of course, when he told me things, I didn't hear them so kindly, and I wasn't very pleased with it. But I learned to have this ability to just be able to listen, to hear another perspective. And that had great, great value to me. Maybe 95% of the things he told me I didn't listen to, but the 5 things that he did tell me and which did stick ended up being one of the 5 most valuable things that I did, which were path-breaking in my journey in sport. So these are lessons that I think I learned through sport, which are applicable to business, but are applicable to the larger game of life. And I think we are all human beings. We're all flawed. We all have limitations, but we have to try and do our best and try and be better than what we were yesterday.
Really, what a fantastic answer. Clearly that's a reminder that all of us leave behind legacies, and therefore how you play the game is finally what matters, whether it is sport or business. So very well said. You've often said that chasing perfection is like chasing an untamable beast. As an individual kind of sportsman, a big part of attaining perfection rests completely with yourself. In business, amidst multiple and differing variables, how do you pursue perfection?
Well, of course, chasing perfection, I fully believe, is chasing an untamable beast. I think when you chase perfection, you're going to fail. You're going to fail many, many times. And the whole process is really about learning to fail well. Learning to let go of the unwanted baggage that failure brings, but using each event as an experience and learning from it. And that, I think, helps you attain perfection. My journey towards at least trying to be perfect, I don't think I was perfect at any point, but in that path, I think was a journey of deconstruction and reconstruction throughout my sporting career. I was never afraid of making changes when the going was good. Just to give a small example, at one point of time in my sporting career, I was winning everything, and I was in the best shape of my life. And it was at that point of time I decided to change my technique completely, to deconstruct it and reconstruct it fully, because I knew that my body was changing. I had to learn to adapt to it, and my current technique would no longer work and be sustainable up until the next Olympic Games. So painstakingly for 1 year, I had to deconstruct and reconstruct a new style, which meant that after winning almost every competition for the next year or so, I won absolutely nothing. But that was the process that I committed myself to, and which ultimately helped me achieve Olympic success. So that was at one level. There was also, this process was also done at the mental level. Mentally, I was a different person during different parts of my career. The environment around me was also evolving, and I had to always remain adaptable, and I had to always remain awake to that changing environment, which meant that I had to do this process of reconstruction. My body, for example, kept changing through my course of my career. There was, of course, as a growing boy, I had to adapt continuously. But at a period of time, after shooting for 12 years, my body had gained a lot of imbalances, and I had to learn and reconstruct my body balance and my muscles again, because there were a lot of imbalances in it, which were achieved. So that was the process, which I was never afraid of engaging in. It was a process which was all about attention to detail. There was no detail was small enough to ignore, whether it be technical, whether it be mental, whether it be for my nutrition. I left absolutely no stone unturned to build each building block. And that, I believe, helped me gain a degree of mastery. I don't think I ever gained perfection, but I tried to be perfect on the imperfect day.
What a fascinating answer, Abhinav. I mean, and that's so true, I think, of people who are building new businesses as well. I mean, your advice around, constantly stay ahead of the game, learn to recreate when, a new model is around, understand, all your internals extremely well, and never forget that, failure also is a great learning process for you. I think such a fabulous answer that was. You've been in the public glare, receiving accolades since you were 15. Now, looking back with the hindsight of experience and wisdom that you've now gathered, how do you think you handle yourself in those years?
Well, hard to say how I handled myself, but I think I'll give this answer in a different way. Now that I have the luxury of hindsight, I will share with you all very candidly that yes, I was able to achieve certain goals in my life, and I was able to achieve certain sporting goals, but I failed miserably in attaining my fullest potential. And I attribute this failure to a degree of lack of balance I had in my life while I was in my sporting career. I was very, very obsessive. I put all my eggs in one basket. I dehumanized my journey to a great degree. I pushed myself to the extreme limits, which, yes, helped me achieve that goal. But at the end of the day, it was also very limiting in nature. So with that experience, I would only like to share with you all are all chasing excellence in your own respective fields. And I would always only say that, keep your human well-being at the center and heart of performance. When you really, really take care of yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, build different blocks in your life, I think that will help you achieve your fullest potential. And I think that is what we are all chasing. Goals we can all achieve. Even not a very talented person ended up winning a gold medal at the Olympic Games in me. So, but it is the journey should be of trying to achieve your fullest and your absolute fullest potential.
Great advice. I mean, from an Olympic champion who always set the bar very high, he still feels that he could have achieved even more. But I think the uniqueness of his advice is to, remind all of us not to dehumanize ourselves, but to actually enjoy what we're doing and understand that there are many facets to us and to enjoy each facet and work on each of them. Brilliant advice, really. Now, Abhinav, you've advocated practicing gratitude. In the business you run, there is also a strong element of empathy and human-centeredness. What makes you feel and do the way that you do?
Well, for me, gratitude is a very important part of life. It is a way of life. I was somebody in my life who always struggled to a great degree to handle pressure. I was somebody who never had a real high amount of self-belief, which I alluded to early on in our conversation. For a long period of time, I tried to achieve that self-belief, but I was never able to do that. And there, my journey towards self-respect started. And there I began this practice of gratitude, of just being grateful for what we have and what I have today. We sometimes just take the little things in life for granted. And I think that is a big error, which just doesn't allow us to live life in the present moment. You know, we're also consumed by the past, or we're also worried about what the hell is going to happen in the future, which we've not seen even. And we forget to live in the present moment. And I think that is how my journey towards just being very grateful for every opportunity and for every moment started. And that is something I practice. Of course, I'm involved deeply in healthcare and transitional care, and you know, my life has always been about having purpose, and you know, I'm driven by purpose. I'm not always driven by monetary goals, which may not be the best thing for my balance sheet. And I'm not giving you advice on balance sheets today. So, yeah, so that is how my life is. So, but it is very powerful. It was very powerful to practice gratitude, to be able to deal with pressure. Yeah, you know, when I was in a sticky moment, and there were plenty of them in my career and my life, when I really was grateful for every opportunity, it just opened my heart and mind. To be able to remain focused in that moment and focused on the process and do what I was supposed to do. When I was sitting in that Olympic final and, you know, had one shot to go, and I was all tied up with my competitor, and it all depended on one shot, if I would go home with a gold medal or not. You know, that was pressure like I would have never imagined. But I was grateful that I had that opportunity to be in that situation, to feel so alive, and just having practiced that gratitude and being grateful for even that moment where it was uncomfortable like hell, just allowed me to be focused on the next shot. And I was able to execute probably the best shot of my life when it mattered most.
Such wonderful advice, basic advice, grounded advice. You know, to me, it sounds like you're saying work hard, like as if everything depends upon you, but also pray harder, like as if everything else depends upon someone else, you know. So it's just so wonderful to hear this from you. Abhinav, and as a role model for many aspiring and ambitious youngsters who want to emulate you and your success, what are the 3 most important messages that you would like to give them?
You know, remain honest to your goals. Be persistent. I mean, there will be lots of failure, there will be lots of hardships, but remain persistent, and work hard. Hard work at the end of the day is the best sedative that you can ever get. When you have a day where you worked your hardest, you can look yourself in the mirror and be proud of yourself. You'll have a very good night's sleep.
Fantastic. You know, what is that one question you want to be asked in an interview, but nobody has ever asked you so far?
Oh, you've done pretty well today. I think you've gotten quite a lot out of myself, so I don't really think I have much. We've covered much ground today, so nothing really specifically comes to mind at this moment.
Great. One question, Abhinav, how important, you know, you spoke about Vipassana, and obviously that is to get you focused and stuff like that. What about prayer? Is that something that, you know, you've, also focused on or indulged in, or something that you would recommend?
To be honest, I haven't. I have great respect for God. I believe in God, and but I'm not ritualistic in that sense. But I mean, I practice the religion of humanity. I think being there for each other, I think, is very powerful. Being there for each other in good times and bad. Building relationships, for no motive, I think, and just being there for everybody is something that I practice and I find very powerful, and that's what I have tried to do in my life.
That's really unique. I mean, all through this discussion, you've never really focused only on your one goal or on yourself. It's always been around the entire ecosystem, you know, your community, the people around you, your coach, your competitor, you know. So it's a great lesson for all of us in this audience, the fact that, you know, we exist because we are part of a greater ecosystem. Work hard, do your very best, but remember that, you matter as one part of the overall subset, and don't get, don't get angsty about, just wanting to be the winner all the time. Well, thank you, Abhinav, and congratulations in making it to the final round of the rapid fire 10. Keep your pellets sharp and be ready to hit the bullseye without blinking an eye. Are you ready?
I'll try. My pellets were always flat, so I don't know how sharp my answers would try.
Good one, good one. That's the first one already answered. Well, focused or obsessed, which adjective describes you best?
Well, obsessed previously, focused now.
Brilliant. What is the last thing on your mind before you pull that trigger?
I don't want to have any thoughts in my mind.
If not air rifle shooting, what would you have chosen as a sport?
I only chose air rifle shooting because I didn't need to move. And I don't think I'll find a more static sport than shooting. So no other sport.
One thing you would like to achieve in the next 2 years?
Well, of course, to grow my foundation so that I'm able to bring and empower more people, and of course, grow my business.
The one quality that every sportsman must have?
Persistence and honesty.
And that one quality that every sportsman should not have?
Dishonesty should be. There's no room for dishonesty in sport.
Well said. What would you not like to change about yourself?
That's a hard one. What would I not like to change about myself? My honesty. I think I'm a very honest person.
If someone had asked me that about you, I would have said that. Well answered. Your favorite holiday spot?
Bavaria, the Bavarian Alps.
Well, you should give us one sentence more. Why?
Well, I'm very connected to that place, primarily because I've spent a lot of time training there. I lived in Germany for a long period of time during my sports career, and I just am very connected to that place.
Fantastic. Say Dehradun, and what comes in your mind?
Oh, that was my birthplace. So early part of my schooling was done there. Riverdale School comes to mind.
Now think carefully before you answer this one. Which actor would you like to play? Would you like to play you in your biopic?
The rights of my biopic have already been sold to Anil Kapoor, and his son is playing me. So I will back him in doing a good job.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Well, congratulations, Abhinav. You actually bettered your Olympic gold score with a 10.9 in this rapid fire round. It's been a real delight interacting with you, and I hope you've enjoyed the session too, as much as all of us have. Here's, wishing you the very best in all your future endeavors. Thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Pooja.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Keshav. I think the reason why this expression was on my face was because there was so much to learn from this session. It was so empowering. It was so inspirational. In fact, when I was hearing both of them, I was just thinking that what all adjectives can I use to actually describe this session? But I think words will lose. But this was absolutely a very, very powerful, inspiring, and a very enlightening session for all of us, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Mr. Keshav, for asking such candid yet very pertinent and motivational questions. And of course, Abhinav, for sharing your entire journey so honestly and so beautifully that I'm sure all of us in the audience have connected with it, and there's so much that we can take back and use in our personal and professional lives. So thank you very, very much for doing this.